Hi, everybody. This is Jeffrey at Ripe Color, and my incredibly special guest this week is Whimsy from the Oracle of Whimsy. This is Tarot Tuesdays, and on Tarot Tuesdays, we discuss one card in order, because otherwise I'll just keep on pulling the same card.
Right.
And the card this week this is the magic part of the thing. The Lovers.
I love that card.
Card 6.
Yes.
And before we begin, I really wanted to say, and I didn't, because we had a little pre-discussion, Whimsy, you are really the inspiration for me starting my channel. That's the truth.
How kind of you to say that. Thank you.
It's the truth, because when in the middle of all the insanity, what we, in the country, I mean, not that we're not in insanity now, but the kind of the beginning of it, I don't know, I tuned into you. It was pre-COVID, actually. Yeah, it was pre-COVID. It was post-Trump, pre-COVID. Remember them? Remember then? And you just calmed me down.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Calmed me down. And also, your understanding and your interpretation of the cards is so profound, profound. And it's such a different take. And I have like a different take, because it's like, you're going to get married,
Not always.
Maybe. Maybe.
Right.
So, and I particularly love your understanding of the Lovers. And I also, to me, this is really one of the most beautiful cards in the whole deck. One of the most like iconography, in terms of the iconography. So you're being my guest. Would you like to share with us your interpretation and your experience with card number 6, the Lovers?
Well, yes. First off, thank you, Jeffrey, for inviting me. It's an honor to be on your channel. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to meet and work together. So this is actually one of my favorite cards. And the first thing I would talk about would be the numerology of the number 6, which one of the first things I remember about the numerology of the number 6 is they say a number 6 is the salt of the earth. Salt of the earth. And it's also associated with home and hearth. So 6s are often people that love, staying, putzing around the house and creating a nesting, like a sacred home. And they're the salt of the earth, and they keep things, very, they're like the homestead kind of a person. That's the 6 energy. But what's also interesting about this card, how it's been depicted, is that first off, you look at the angel, the sun. Sun has to do a lot if you look at the cards. And the artist was unknown throughout her life. I mean, she didn't really get any attention until after she passed away. But on the top of the card is where I would start. You see that beautiful sun coming up, and the sun in her cards always has to do with parting the clouds, the truth coming out. And you can see on the bottom, the cloud is being pushed away and the sun is being pushed on top. And so the sun often will signify clarity or the pushing away of clouds or unhappiness. I can see clearly now the sun. What does it go? The
rain is gone.
The rain is gone. So you have the sun coming in. And also, if you look at the hand position of the angel, it's in blessing of the union. You have the sun coming, the clouds parting, and an angel is giving a blessing to those individuals. And then you can see also in the background the trees of good and evil, which is kind of interesting in the snake. And I think that kind of typifies relationships in general, which is that if you want to create sacred union with another person, you have to create a safe space. And so what has happened here, when you look at this imagery, is that it's a safe space. The clouds have been parted, the depression, the sun of clarity is there, but they're also being protected by this sacred space. And when we think about the most successful marriages, the most successful relationships, they have to do with this idea that we must always maintain a sacred space between us, which means that I always acknowledge you as a child of God, even in our darkest moments as a couple. And I see your divinity and I address you with that awareness.
Like
That's really
namaste.
yeah. So that's kind of the,
Mhm.
what keeps marriages. If you look at happy marriages of 23 years, for example, like I really like that channel called Those Vegan Guys. Have you checked it out?
No.
They've been together 23 years.
Wow.
And I just find them absolutely lovely. I get vegan recipes from them and stuff like that. But one of the things that I find fascinating about them as a couple is that they've just been so madly in love for 23 years. And you have to ask, well, what's the secret?
Mm.
And the secret is that they talk to each other with the utmost respect. I've never seen them raise their voice to one another or speak to one another with disrespect. And so one of the things I really take away from the lovers is holy, holy, holy. This is sacred space. This ground that you and I walk on as partners is holy ground.
Mhm.
So they're sitting on holy ground and they're being given a choice between good and evil.
Mhm.
You can either treat one another like the children of God that you are, or you can take this beautiful heaven on earth and destroy it, which is what love is. It's heaven on earth. We get a taste of heaven on earth and what it is to be truly one with another human being. So we can sabotage it by disrespecting one another. And it's interesting, the Satan, the snake was never seen as the Satan in the Jewish tradition. It was a snake. It took on the meaning of the Satan later.
Right, through Persia.
Yeah, so the snake was a sexual and a sexuality, and it may have had to do with wisdom and sexuality and life and death and those kinds of symbolisms, going close to the earth, listening.
Circle.
Yeah, the
Right.
circle.
The Kundalini awakening. Yes.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
so,
Yeah.
and all of that happens when you fall in love.
Yeah.
So she was awakened to her sexuality and to her love, but they start lying, they start playing games. He starts blaming her. Well, the woman that you gave me, she caused me to do it. Yeah, blame her. Okay, you two are not adults yet. You're not ready to have a relationship. You need to go out into exile and find yourselves a little bit, because if you're going to treat each other like that, I'm going to give you these wonderful tools on earth, but you better be able to treat it right. The other thing I love about this card has to do with, I think you have Mount Olympus there on the bottom. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know what mountain it is, but see, for me, it's about the shape, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. But yeah, to me, it's about the shape.
Okay, yeah, pyramid maybe?
Well, I mean, it could be Mount Olympus, it could be Mount Sinai, it could be Mount Meru, it could be, the
Okay.
sacred mountain.
Now, going into the Hebrew tradition, which I think you and I both have that background, it sounds like you also studied Zoroastrianism.
I studied a little bit of everything, but
And,
I went to yeshiva for 12 years. I'll have you know.
me
I
too.
studied Jeremiah and Ezekiel in Aramaic, so don't even.
Me too. Oh my God.
That's why I'm really good at the
Good
symbolism, and that's
seminary.
why when you pull that, which is the one that you talk about, when you talk about the King of Wands as Yehuda.
He is Yehuda. Yeah.
I know. Well, that's my name.
Uh-huh. And he's red from shame.
Right. Well, he's also King David because he's red. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But red has an aspect of shame to it.
Yeah.
He's always having to humiliate himself, like, please don't kill my brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But taking responsibility. Anyway, let's get back to this card.
Yeah. And that is why he became the perfect judge, right?
But also because he takes the responsibility. He owns up. Like you said, he owns up, because when he says, let's throw him in the pit instead of killing him. So now if Joseph dies in the pit, he's going to be responsible.
That's
so
right.
He takes on the older role, even though he's not the eldest.
Right.
Really interesting. And he's a son of Leah.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, you and I have that background.
Yeah, no, I know all that. Yeah.
Right. So what I would also add to this card has to do with, well, I didn't know you were a Shiva Bachar, so that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable talking about this. So Rachamim, compassion, and Rechem, the uterus, is another thing I think about when I go into this card, because if you take a look at this card just from a traditional Jewish perspective, before the Greco-Roman view of women as vessels of filth and whatnot. It was really, the uterus was seen as where you plant the seed of life. Right. So she looks up towards God. She has a closer relationship with female in the Judaica tradition, again, and also the Gnostic, I think, to some extent, prior to denial of the body, denial of women, Greco-Roman misogyny. So this kind of goes back to that, I think, in a sense. So she is looking towards God, the angel. She has a more direct relationship with the divine, which I always thought was much more Hebraic. And particularly if a life is coming down. So say they're intimate, and then she is a vessel for the divine, and then life comes down through her. What I also love about this, just from a Hebraic interpretation, is that he's looking to her to get close to God. That is really more of a Jewish man's role. That through family and through loving another human being, he connects with,
like Tikkun Olam.
God.
Like Tikkun Olam.
The fixing of the world through his family by creating a sacred home and family. So he needs her in order to fulfill his mission with Hashem. And that actually is different than God. So that's different in Judaism than, say, Christianity or other faiths, because in Judaism, men are seen as needing women in order to fulfill their mission. They have to have women in their lives in order to complete their mission.
And it's interesting you should talk about the six, because the six really also, the understanding of the six is the perseverance. And in this card, this is really fascinating. So remember I was talking about the shape? So here we have a triangle going up, and here we have a triangle coming down, basically, which is basically the fire. The fire reaches up, and that's the masculine element, reaches up toward, and then the water and the intuition comes down like the vulva, right? And that, the union of that would be the Magen David.
Yeah, the Star of David.
Right, and then the understanding is that the tribe of Israel and the union of the tribe of Israel with the Godhead, that the union the union of God and the tribe of Israel is the tribe is the bride, right? So it comes like this.
Yeah, right. So so in plainer words, Bowie Kala, come beloved. It's this idea that where in the case of the Shekhinah, it's the feminine attributes of God, and we are the groom. But in the case of the masculine aspects, we are the bride, and God is the groom, except on Shabbos, where he switches it up. Our God's kind of into drag.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Godhead is so much bigger than masculine or feminine. The Godhead is so much bigger than that. And it's interesting too, because it's about duality. So in traditional ways, like she receives, right? And he reaches up. So, and it's also and if she's in charge, she's the heart, right? And he's the head. So the head has to check with the heart, because the heart is far stronger.
And it's going to do what it likes.
Right.
Wow, very cool. Well, it's interesting also, the snake. Do you want to talk a little bit about the snake? Because that is
the snake, and it's interesting because, in all iconography, all over the world, there's a snake. There's always a snake.
Yeah.
So the snake symbolizes rebirth, right? Because it sheds its skin. The snake also, as the Uberus, swallows its own tail. So it understands cycle as a complete and beginning and end, right? Cycling. Like it just keeps on going around. The lessons keep on going around. Our lives. This also sometimes relates to past life. I always get a past life, and that and all the sixes really, because like the Six of Cups is like that. I always feel like the Six of Swords has a deep matriarchal thing. The giving and taking, the karma of the Six of Pentacles. So there's that understanding of things dying, come back again, dying, coming back again. And I mean, that's what the garden is all about anyway, right?
Mhm.
So there's the wisdom of everything has its season. Everything has its season. Everything has its season. Like sometimes you're in the middle of a story and you think, oh my God, it's never going to end. But it's like, yeah, but all stories end, right? And then a new story begins. And then, so there's that understanding. I think all of the ancients understood that. And the other thing that about the snake is that it's able to change its shape. It changes its shape. It does
Right.
this, it does this, it could be like a ball. It's like, oh, there's so much depth. So the snake in all occultic tradition is the keeper of wisdom,
Right.
the keeper of wisdom.
Wow. Very deep.
Yeah, it's very deep.
It's interesting also, she chose flames for the
For the tree of evil, or whatever they call it.
yeah, which is
Well,
interesting.
but that's the masculine element reaching up. The fire element's very masculine, reaching up toward, penetrative, right? It penetrates the air. Fire goes up.
Yeah, and purifies. Interesting.
Right.
Well, it is a wonderful card. And it's interesting when this card comes out in a card chart, I often think of wisdom.
Mhm.
I don't immediately go towards romance.
Yeah, I very rarely, unless I get like a million other romance cards with it,
Right.
it's like, oh, okay. Like, if you get the Hierophant and the Two of Cups and that, it's like, oh, looks like someone's getting married.
But it also can be an infidelity card.
Mhm,
If this comes out as a hope and a fear,
mhm.
and somebody wants to know, if someone's asking me, what's my husband up to? He's been working late and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
And this is
he's in a
floating
different
around.
garden. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it can be a bit of a problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also there's been times also when I read, I mean, I have like say 30 or 40 meanings for each card or whatever it is, or 20, I don't know. But then, it depends on the day and that moment. Sometimes I can read this card as illusion. It's like, oh, I'm living in the Garden of Eden and everything is fine and dandy. It's like, maybe not.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, it's very, very interesting. What does he think of me, depending upon the placement?
Right,
That would be the ultimate compliment too. What does he think of you? He thinks he needs you, like you are.
right.
It's that song "Your Eyes," which is a kind of a hokey and romantic and wonderful.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song.
It's a beautiful song, but
Yeah,
that's really, how we see our lover in that card chart, that she's all that in a bag of chips. He sees 1,000 churches, he sees God, he sees,
right.
that's why he looks to his beloved.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great
beautiful.
card. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh,
Do
thank you
we
so
have anything
much.
else? Was that it?
Thank you
Or
so much. Well, I mean, why don't you tell us about your channel, about what you do, about what you offer, and I don't know, collaborations or things you do regularly or things you're planning or whatever.
well, my name is Whimsy. We have the channel, The Oracle of Whimsy. We get together, we do videos on political predictions. So yeah, I think your people know my people for the most
Oh,
part.
for sure.
Got the same fans.
Yeah, no, for sure, for
I'm
sure.
always wearing your beautiful art, your
Thank you.
beautiful scarves. Are you still making those?
I right now I don't have a studio, but I have some available for sale. My sister has them in New York and she's happy to mail them. She keeps on saying, what can I do for you? Like, I would love to send her
Are
to
you
the
selling them on
post office.
Etsy? Where are you
No,
selling
no,
them?
I have my own website, ripecolor.com. So
Wow.
I also have like astrology. I mean, this is my own, but I also have astrology teas. I have all the signs and I have astrology mugs and I offer readings. I offer IET, which is a healing modality. It's IET actually is, I don't really talk about it much, but the IET is basically, I ask you and you're basically talking to the angels and your higher self, which actually this card can actually mean that, you know, the union of you with your higher spirit. What would you like to receive? What would you like to receive? And people are always busy saying, I don't want this. I'm like, that's not what I asked you. I asked you what you do want. What do you want?
A gentle lover.
There you go. And then I say, what would you like to release, right? And then, you know, people always have 30 or 40 things. Everyone is like, well, I don't really know what I want. Maybe $1,000. I'm like, no, no, no. How about bigger? How about like a house? How about a car? How about a lover? How about peace? How about, you know, self-acceptance? How about, you know, a beautiful body? So then I can basically connect with their higher self, and like the angels sort of, you know, and I do this hands-on thing, and I do remotely, and I do it on myself every day, and it really has changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it would.
Yeah.
My cat is wanting my attention.
I have peluches, you know, which means stuffed animals in Spanish.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
they like chocolate.
Don't you have cats?
No, no, no.
Oh, I think you would be great with cats.
We fight over who is in charge of what.
Oh my God.
I used to feed the birds in New York. I used to feed the birds. That really made me very happy. I miss the birds.
Yeah.
I love here. I love Mexico. It's the most amazing place. It's really, it's like my place in the world. It really is. It's my place in the world.
You're in Mexico now?
Yeah.
Oh, right now. This is Mexico.
Yeah, yeah. I've been in Mexico since March 12th. Yeah.
So where are you staying? Is this a friend's house?
No, no, this is an apartment I rented.
It's already got so many books in it.
And really good books too. I really have to work on my Spanish. I'm better than I was, but I need a tutor. I need a tutor. Because there are basic words mid-sentence. It's like just or next. It's like, oh God, I don't know that word. So I need a tutor. But okay.
Yeah. Or you can always keep the TV on. That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, I don't even have a TV here, which suits me just fine. I don't have a TV in New York either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it also, there's this way that people converse that one thing leads to another, that it makes sense. And I like a one-on-one really works for me. So I have to find a tutor, and I'll find one. I'll find a Mexican one, because you know Spanish is different in different countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Jeffrey. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Now I have to put on my glasses so that I make sure I stop the recording without turning you off.
now, wait a minute. Now, this is going up today?
It's going to go up. Oh, it's Tarot Tuesday, so it goes up on Tuesday. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say is please like, subscribe, share, comment, press the bell for notifications. That goes for the Oracle of Whimsy. That goes for Right Color. Please
Yes.
become members of our respective channels. Please call us for readings. We're holding space. Okay. I always forget. Sometimes I forget to do the whatever.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, please
Click
like,
on the
share, comment.
notification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn off the recording and then we'll talk.
Thanks, everyone.
Blessings, blessings,
Bye.
blessings. Thank you.